Okay, first thing that we're going to talk about for a walk cycle is to actually show how a basic walk cycle, what a basic walk cycle, how we build it with posing. We're going to go kind of pose to pose. So we'll build the poses and then we'll walk through basically how we construct this walk cycle. So first thing we want to do is bring in our character. So we're going to just actually, since we have an animation file already set up, we can actually go to our where our Maya files are located. And since we created the anim idle, we can just select that idle. Oh, actually not the idle, I'm sorry. We want to actually select the blank animation. So anim blank, which we created at an earlier state. So when we bring that in, our character, so as we look at him from the side or front perspective, however we are, and I'm using just the Animation 2 workspace that we created as well, which is just basically the timeline and one window and our channel box editor. And so to start our walk cycle, I just want to show you, we're going to go with mainly kind of a Richard Williams style walks. This is usually, he was one of the best to actually break things down so you can see how a walk cycle is basically created. And so the first pose that we usually create is called a contact pose. And so that's usually where our feet are basically coming apart from each other. So say right foot forward and the right foot is up, and our back left leg is actually just barely, we're just picking up off our toes. Okay, so that's called the contact position. And you'll also notice that the arms and the shoulders are basically, so the hips are basically turned towards the lead leg, so coming around like this, right? So our hips will be basically out to the right, and then our shoulders will be opposite. So it's almost like we're twisting, okay? So with that in mind, so our right arm and our right shoulders are actually going back. So we're basically rotating like that way, okay? So let's see if I can draw on here and just so I can basically show you what I mean. So it's like we're getting like this rotation on our shoulders, and our arm basically, like you see, is like so, and then our hips are coming rotating around like this. Okay, so we're basically just counter rotating, and then we get that lead contact pose with our foot. Our heel is actually touching the ground, okay? And then our toes, basically the ball of our foot is basically touching right there. So we're getting that in that pose. And so, and our head also is not at the lowest point, and it's also not at the highest point. Okay, so with that, we basically want to just basically build out this contact pose. And then what we'll do here is, so we'll say maybe a 30 frame walk cycle. So if we are to start on frame 1, okay, and then we'll make this other contact pose our 30. Okay, so this is basically 1 and 30. So same pose, 1 and 30 will be the same. And then the passing pose, this is our basically our in-between, which is going to be in the middle of our contact positions. Okay, so contact 1 and then contact 30 are the same pose. This is going to be our middle pose, which is going to be our in-between. And so we'll put this one on 15. Okay, so we'll put that on 15. Let me, let's see, size this down just a little bit. So 15 on the passing pose, which is basically, we're not at our actual height. So you can see the way the head is kind of down, and then it comes, it's not all the way up. So our actual head, our head position is called the up position, and you can see that our hips as well. So if you follow this line as well, you can see that our hips are kind of following with the way that our head, so we get this, you can see this distance right here. Okay, so the distance between our head and our hips. Our hips are basically kind of following that same flow. Okay, and so with that passing position, this is, our hips are basically, we're starting to turn them to go over to the other side. Okay, so instead of rotating towards the right foot, now we're going to be rotating over towards the left. So that middle ground, we can think about our hips kind of being in the same position here. It's just, we're just barely getting that rotation started, so it's kind of like the middle pose. And so our right foot is basically, let me see if I can erase all this. Actually, I'm going to just close this out so I can clear that out. So, okay, close that, and just going to reopen it just so we get a clean file. So, with this being edit, okay, so this is going to be 1. Bring my size down. This is going to be 30. Okay, this is going to be 15. And then we basically want to break that down again. And so usually this will probably be about 6 or 7-ish. I'll probably just make this about, I'll probably put it at 6, we might move it to 7. And then between 15 and 30, we just want to get in between there as well. So actually, this is wrong. Okay, so this is not including, so this is all right leg. Okay, so right leg, so we want to go 1 to 15 here. So let me start that over again. So we want to basically break this down like this. So this is going to be, so let's draw this out. So this is going to be the number 1 pose. This is going to be 15. And our basic walk cycle is going to be 30 frames. So, and then when we break it down from here, it's usually good to do in threes. The basic walk cycle is usually built on 3s, so in steps of 3. So for this one, I'm actually just going to go to frame 4, and then this one I will go to frame 8 as the passing position, and then this one will be 12. Okay, so 1, 4, 8, 12, and 15 will be the basic where I'm going to build these poses out. Okay, so with this in mind, let's head over to Maya and actually build these out with this in mind. So I'm actually just going to minimize this just so we can see. If you want, we can actually put into a perspective window, we can put an image plane in the window that can help us build this out, or we can try and just build this. If you have a second monitor or somewhere where you can actually see this, okay, so what we just want to think about when we're building these poses is that this leg is extended and this one is almost right, so we look at what we're kind of building here. So from here, I'm going to actually just build out this first contact pose, this guy right here. Okay, so Let me close this down, or just erase this last line that I made here. Erase all ink. Alright, so I'm just going to go through here again. So this is 1, 4, 8, 12, and 15. Alright, so let's just get started on this. So we'll do right leg forward first, right? So we're going to just grab that right foot, and we'll kind of look at him from, let's see, this is probably going to be the left view. And then if we frame, if you hit A, it'll bring all of our, so here we can actually just rotate that foot up forward, or because I think I'm in my foot roll. Yeah, so I want to be all -5, and so that's going to be all the way forward. And then also my root control. This, remember, this is not, we're not all the way down to the lowest point. So just want to pull that forward. So actually that part might be a little much. So I'm going to just go say -3, and then the back foot. Okay, that's our. If we go back to perspective, and then go back to left view, and from here. So this, what helps with these two is actually there's a number of animation tools like Anim which actually let you build poses, and you can also build selections. It's all kind of based off of preference and how you will eventually like to work. But this way I'm just actually selecting. So with this is kind of how I want my foot. And so this, I'll push this back. Okay, and then from here as well, we want to grab that hip controller, and we want to think about we're turning to the right. So we're going positive Y. So positive Y, let's say about 15 degrees. Okay, and we can go to our red as well and just bring that out. We want that leg to be kind of straight. And this one, we can kind of push back out. And from here, if we go to our perspective view, we also want to, since we see that we're going to, we want our arms to be basically down to our side. So I'm going to just grab these clavicles and just rotate them down just a little bit, and then grab the shoulders as well and rotate those down. I'm going to object mode and rotating just like so. And then so what I want to think about here is with that chest, I want to lead, so I'm going to lead opposite. Okay, so leading opposite, I'm going to push this in the negative direction, -X. Okay, and then so that will actually push this left arm. That's going to push our left arm forward. Okay, so I'm just going to push that forward, and it's actually negative in Y, but you can see that in the actual view we're actually pushing it forward, and then we can select the right, and we'll just select that and push that back. You also don't want this to go too far. And you'll see, we'll just basically kind of block this out, and we'll see how this looks. And I also will usually just, we want his head kind of facing forward as we're walking. So most people kind of walk with their heads straight ahead. But you can see, so we have this counter rotation. Okay, so his chest is actually going this way, and his hips are going this way. So basically rotating the opposite. So with this, we can kind of see that we have the basics of what that first pose looks like. So if we go over here, we're looking right here at this contact position, and if we flip back, okay, we see we're just flipping back. So you can see that our hand is, and this is where we kind of get into this kind of stuff will actually be kind of secondary stuff that we'll add later. But you can just basically just get the blocking of this pose set in place. And so since we do have that pose, also we want to set up our, let's see, if I go to, I'm actually looking for animation, yeah, just animation 1. This way we can see our graph editor and basically all this other stuff. So we want to actually set this to be 15, because we're just basically blocking in the first half of the animation. Okay, so with that, what we want to do is actually select all of our controls that we're basically animating right now. So we're going to select both feet, okay, and then we'll select the root, and then basically all the spines, and also select the left or right shoulder. Actually, we'll want to go, let's see, I want to make this all easy to, so actually what I'm going to do is select all by type, NURBS curves, and that'll select all of our curves. And so let's see here. This is going to leave, make actually a lot of empty keys that we're not going to really need by hitting S on our keyboard. But I'm going to actually just go with this for now, but there's obviously cleaner ways to actually take control of your keyframing by actually, if you want to just do translates and rotates, it's Shift W and Shift E. But since I'm having animations on set-driven keys as well, I want to actually just set a key. We don't want anything on the scale values, so those are kind of empty. These are going to be empty keys that are basically placed on the scale of each object, but we can go in and fix all that later. So if I select all by type and say NURBS curves and throw a keyframe, so if I go to frame 1 and hit S, I will get you'll see all the red on all the channels for each individual. So everything has a key on frame 1. Okay, so with that, actually we'll go back, select all by type, and go to NURBS curves again. And from here, I'm actually going to make a selection set. And to do that, if you go to Create, Sets, and a quick select set, and I will call this All, or just basically Character All, and say OK. So that's just basically Character All, that I can actually select that and just hit S to do a key. And you also want to make sure this auto keyframe toggle, it may be off. Okay, so it's going to be towards the bottom right, and you can see in this where my mouse cursor is, and if you click that on auto keyframe toggle, you want that to be on. So anytime now we make any adjustments, it will automatically set a keyframe when we do move that again. So to get to our selection set is still currently selected. So if I go to frame 15, and to get there, all I'm doing is going and middle mouse dragging to frame 15, and then if I hit S again on that, you'll see that all those keys get placed. Okay, so 1 to 15, I have this basically posed out, so 1 and 15. So what I want to do is go to the passing position. Okay, so passing position is going to be, we're going to go to frame 8, and we're going to basically, we're not going to bring him all the way up to the top, but we do want to kind of straighten his, still have a little bend in the knee, but we're basically just, we're getting to that final position where the top of the top is actually at. So with this, so we'll just go back and look here, and then also you have this bend in the back, in the left leg. Okay, so a straight to the right, bend in the left, and then our arms are basically, so the right one is coming basically pretty much in the middle. We're just doing a straight middle in between, and the left arm as well is just coming back. It's just a little forward. Looks like we're favoring just a little bit to the forward position before it starts heading backwards. So with that in mind, we'll head over to Maya again. And so frame 8, we will go to the passing position. So here, if I bring this right about here and take our foot roll, set that to 0, because we're basically keeping that foot planted, okay? And we also want to bring our root up just a little bit, not completely. Want still a little bend to that knee, and the hips I'll bring back to 0 to straighten them out, and the shoulders or the chest I'll bring that back to 0, and I'm just going to the channel box and setting that back to 0, putting no rotations on those. Okay, and then from here we do want to go back to take any of the foot roll off, and we also want to put some rotation in X and bring that foot a little forward. So you can see that we're getting this, and we also want to move the root over to our lead leg. So that's kind of what we're, okay, so we're pushing that weight over to the right leg, and here actually we'll bring this out to the middle, okay, and then the left arm will rotate back to the middle as well. So we just kind of basically have that. So this is our middle pose being our passing pose. So frame 8, if you look at frame 8 here, okay, so if we start to move, we're getting that passing pose. So passing pose, okay, and then we're going back. So boom. But this, actually, we want this rotated the opposite way. Okay, not on frame 15, actually. So we want this to be on frame 30, honestly. But we want a, so actually I'm going to go back to select, oops, create sets. Or is it? Yeah, it's under select. Quick select sets. Quick select sets. Say that more than 3 times. Quick select sets. Okay, so character all, and we will go and we're going to move this pose here, and we'll move this all the way down to frame 30. Okay, and then frame 15. actually I'm gonna just do a quick, I'm gonna set a keyframe on 15 with this frame 30. So I'm just middle mouse dragging to 15, hitting S. So hitting S, whoops, not in the, actually not in here. So if you're in down here in the timeline, just make sure that you just middle mouse drag into the main window. And then here you can actually create that. So what we want to do is actually set these. So with this, I want to make this the same. So negative 54 and 5 on the foot roll. Okay. So if you want to remember this too, is 33, 711. Actually, I think we can actually just copy this pose right here. So if we just, so if you right click and say copy, and from here we go and move this, paste, there we go, and that's the same. So we want to grab, whoops, so I'm grabbing the wrong button. So with this guy, since we want this one to be right here for the other foot, we'll select this one and say copy, and then we'll grab this foot and go to frame 15 and we will paste. And so now we have the opposite position. And for here, we want to actually have the opposite. So from this position, we want to say negative 15 on this one. So negative 15. We're just going the opposite way. And this guy, we want these, so this is up. Okay, so frame 15. And so here, we just want to make sure that we are, when we go from here, so this is 0, so we want this guy on the chest. We're going to copy and go to 15 and do a paste. And this one we want to be positive. Okay, so just take off that minus. And so now we're going that way. And then we also want to, so since we're switching, okay, so 15 we're going to have opposite. So if I grab this guy and go from frame 1, so I want to copy his pose and come over here, go to 15 and paste. Oops, I want both. I want all 3 of the rotations. So I'm going to copy and go to 15. Whoops. That's right. Okay, and then from 8, or actually from here we can copy this guy right here. So copy this, and then we'll come here, and then move to 15, and we can paste. All right, so we have that guy coming forward, like so. All right, so if we play this, you can see the starting of our walk cycle. Still a lot to polish, but we do want to, so with our head, so with the head being at the 0 point, we want to actually find the middle ground, which is going to be frame 22. So if I hit S on that, that basically puts our head in the middle. And then here as well, this is, so with our, this is going to be the same. So if we select the root and the spines, and so 8 to 22, and just hit S. Okay, and then we want to grab this guy right here, which is going to be our, this is basically the passing position. Okay, so for this passing position, we're going to actually copy this frame here. So we'll just actually select all these. Actually, we'll just put a keyframe on this whole thing, and then copy this. And from here, we will grab this guy and go to frame 22, because this is the opposite, and paste. Okay, and then for this guy, we want to actually stay on this foot, go to frame 8, and actually copy. Well, actually, let's set a keyframe first. We'll select this, and then copy, and then go to frame 22 and switch over to the other foot and do a paste. All right. And then also with our, so since we are over to the, more to the, with X, we're minus 6. So we want to be positive 6 on frame 22, which pushes us over there, and then we can bring this one basically over here. So okay, so if we just play this, see what we're seeing on this walk cycle so far. So here we want to actually keep that head still forward. Okay, so I'm actually going to take that rotation off. So there's 0 rotation. 0 rotation on that head. Or actually we want to come this way. So this is 50, positive 15. We'll put that all the way over to frame 30. And then this one, we can actually go right, minus 5. So just want to keep that head kind of straight as we're. So you can see that we have the starting of this walk cycle now. Okay, we haven't done the down or the up position. So what we want to do is actually break those down. These are the breakdown poses. So this is the in-between, this is the breakdown. So we're going to actually go break down from this. So it's basically another in-between, but we're going to break this pose down even more. So we've built basically this pose, and this pose, or we basically built this pose, and then we flipped it over to 15, and then we're just basically building the opposites on the other side of the, so the cycle is basically 1 to 15, which is going right foot, and then we switch over to the left foot on the second half. Okay, so with this, now what we want to do when we go to frame 4, we want to actually, let's see, I'm going to go to animation 2, just so I have a little bit more room to see what I'm actually doing. Okay, so when I go here and I select this foot, I want that foot to basically be down on the ground, like right, we're stepping into that, and then here we want our root to actually come to a further down position. So we're basically coming into, so like if we look here, so see how we're coming down, now we're pushing up, down, and then we're pushing up off that foot. So we plant, and we're pushing this up. So if we look at our down position, we can actually push this leg back as well. So here, so we'll just push that back and on frame 4. Okay, so frame 4, now we start bleeding with the left leg. So if we go back to frame 4, look at frame 4, how we have that. So this is going to be, you can see that our arms are fully extended as well. So we'll just push that back a little more. And then this one we'll push forward. Okay, this is basically coming into the complete. And then from here, so frame 4, let's look at frame 4, how we see it. So if we basically down, so we're coming down from this position, and then we go, so frame 8 is our passing position, and then frame 12 is going to be our up. Okay, so frame 12 is going to be the up position, and you can see right here we want to really extend that leg and push it up even further. So from here, if I push him almost to a full extension, okay, full extension there, and we can also push this left leg up just a little bit as well. And actually we can take that foot roll off of that, so we just have a little bit more. It's just leading that leg, right, like forward. And this looks like it's almost, that in between looks okay. So we're getting up off that foot here. So with that foot roll, we can actually push this. We can push this to maybe 4, and then here we can actually push this a little higher. So we can get a little higher on that. And then I do like to put a little forward translation. And then just set a key. I'm just hitting S. So here, then we're getting to the top. And then we plant. Alright, so let's look again. Frame 12, that pass or the up position is where we're sitting at the far up position. Our arm is coming in, and the one in the back is, we can push this one back just a little bit, and I like to put a little bit, oops, don't want that back like that. And if you actually, I know I probably haven't mentioned this, but if you select an axis that you want to work in, so say you want just to work in the y-axis, if you select the y-axis, you can middle mouse drag and you'll stay in that axis. Okay, so if you want to be just in X, you select the x-axis, or you can actually go to the channel box and make those selections as well. So that, just looking here. Alright, so with this one, this is where we're going to do our opposites again. So the first one we'll do is going to be frame 4. So I just want to make sure that this looks right. Actually, I'm going to set this to 5 on frame 4. So I'm just going to put that at 5. Actually push this leg back a little bit more just to kind of stretch that out, and then also go to my left view and just look and see, because I still want that to be contacting. Okay, the toes basically just like right on that. You can actually do that as well. Okay, and that's kind of pushing that off that toe. So you see that. Okay, so if we do that now, so we Yeah, you get that nice little pop on that. Boom, boom. Okay, so you can see, get that nice bounce in the first part of this walk. So, okay, so with that, so what we want to do is actually flip this now. So with this one, I'm actually going to set a keyframe on, this is on the left foot. Okay, so this one I'm going to come to frame 18. So I'll just copy this, and then I'm going to select the right foot and go to frame 18, and I'm going to say paste. Okay, that's doing the opposite leg. And from here, so my left or my right foot is still selected. So I'm going to select this, the left foot again, because I'm going to go, so frame 4, and then I'm going to go to frame 12. This is going to be the up position. Okay, the up position of the left leg. I'm going to do the up position for the right leg. That's going to be on frame 26 here. So from here we'll select this one and say frame 12 we'll copy, and then we'll go to 26 and select the opposite and say paste. And that's basically putting our right foot in that in the right position, okay, for the up. And then for this one, now I want to copy my, let's see, yes, so I want my left foot. Okay, so here I'm going to actually go to frame 4. I'm on the right foot. Okay, the right foot, and I'm going to set a keyframe and copy and go to frame 18 and select the opposite foot, and I will say paste. That places that one down, and I'll select opposite again and go back to the right foot and select, go to frame 12, and from this one I will set another keyframe by hitting S, say copy, and go to frame 26, select the opposite foot and do a paste. Okay. Alright, so now we want to grab that root, and so frame 4 is going to be our down position. Okay, so with the down position, when we say, I'm going to actually set a keyframe, and then I'll copy that keyframe, go to frame 18, and say paste. So that's my down position. And you can see right here, this is matching, but we're rotating opposite way. Okay, so with that root still selected, we go to frame 12. This is our up position. We set a keyframe, and from here you can actually, we're going to just keep this same keyframe. So if you middle mouse drag and go to frame 26, there's no keyframe set, but we are in position. So once we are in position, we're copying that keyframe, so we can just hit S and that will save that keyframe. And so 12 and 26 are the same. Okay, looks like I might have put a little translation. So actually I'm going to still select this foot, hit S, and then select the opposite, and come to frame 26 and do a paste. Whoops. Actually, I want this guy, and let's see, to copy and select this one, go to frame 26. I'm actually going to delete this one and do a paste. There we go. Now that should be a direct. All right, so let's take a look and see what we're seeing. So I'm going to go to perspective. Okay, let's see what we're getting here. So alright, so we're actually not moving. We want to basically take off the X. So I'm actually going to, so here, okay, so I want this negative going positive on this one. So the reason, right, we're at 0, but now we're just switching over to this side. So now, there we go. So with this one being -3, we want this one to be +3. And there are tools that will actually just mirror your poses, Anim being one of them. So you can see that we're getting just kind of looking. Alright, so I don't want this. So actually on this, so this is a full foot roll, and I'm going to 0. So I want to 0 out that foot roll a lot quicker. Let's see how that looks. Actually, I want this to be, let's see what that looks like. Nope. Actually, I'm going to 0 this out and put it into the actual rotation on the foot. And just push this. So I'm going to left view, just make sure that this foot, because I don't want anything happening on my foot roll right here. So I can get rid of these 2 keys that I just placed. So just delete. That way that comes through. I don't get that poppiness to the foot. Just getting that little bounce to the foot there. Kind of pushing off, pushing off. Yeah, see, I'm getting that little pop here too, so I want to actually go to this guy. So it's this position. So I want to select this, copy, and go to here, and go to frame 4. And this one I'm going to delete and do a paste. There we go. So that takes that. There we go. So I'm just rotating, just taking a look. Alright, so I just want to actually, with the clavicles, I want to push those forward a little bit more. So on frame 1, I'm going to actually copy down to 30 and hit S. And then 15, I'm going to actually just push back a little bit. And from here, if I select copy, select the opposite, go to frame 1, and actually do a paste. Let's see. Nope, doesn't paste there. Actually, I want the same amount. So going forward, I want these. Okay, so up to 15, I want that much. Going on the opposite over here. So if I hit S, I should copy that. There we go. We're getting, I just want to make sure that these frames are exactly the same. 1 and 30 look right. So one way to actually look to make sure, since we are working in FK, also we have no rotations going on the elbows. And so with that, I like to kind of drag the elbow on the way back. So about frame, let's go frame 23. Well, actually, let's go frame 22. That's kind of like the middle breakdown there. There we go. And then this one, I like to push this elbow back. So just favor this a little back. You can see how this arm feels a little better. Where this one seems just, we just have like a couple keyframes on it. So here we can go and add those. So here, about frame 8, we can put that drag to the front, and then back here, let's push it back a little bit. There we go. This is where we can kind of, this is where a lot of the polish and finesse, we just kind of watch, see what our bodies, what those poses are actually doing. So with these hips, I do like to, so since we're at a 0 state like right here, and up in that passing position, to throw, all right, throw that hip up. Okay, so we're going to do the opposite, going to this side. So this puts a little, but I think we want to go the opposite way actually. We do. Like so. We kind of push that. There we go. All right. And then also, you can kind of put a little bit, so I'm actually selecting all, so the spine, the two spine objects, just 1 and 2. And here, if I go to my Y, okay, I'm going to rotate Y, and so middle position, frame 8, actually going to just put a little bit to his right, and then on 22, just go a little bit to his, actually let's do opposites. Yeah, it just kind of leads. Probably want to put a little bit more to in the X. So from here, so we're going to put a little bit more going to, so this is going to be opposite. So 1 to 30, I'm just going to set another key. So this is minus 3.6, and let's just look. Actually, we'll just 3.6, just so it matches. All right, that puts a little bit more sway. A little bit more sway to his walk. So we have nothing on his hands or his fingers. And then also his head. I want to make sure that his head is not rotating as much. So I'm just kind of, just put this on 30. So that looks like 18. So here, let's go negative 18. Let's take 8 and 8 off. So delete 8 and delete 22. To do that, I'm just shift and then shift dragging and then say right click, delete. Okay, so now all we have on the head is just 1, 15, and 30. And we're just getting a little bit, let's see, if I go to follow world, yep, that's not, so here, I'm actually going to just balance that head a little bit more. So this is going to be opposite in Y. So here I'll go just middle mouse drag to 22, hit keyframe, and then I want to be positive 2. So I'm going the opposite way. There we go. We can also add a little bit of, first thing I want to do is actually, we haven't saved yet, so I want to do a save, so save scene as, and since this is an anim, we're going to name this walk. And basically the more walk cycles that you do, you start to really, and analyzing how the way people walk. Just analyze video, or like when you go to a park or anything like that, just like really watch how people walk, and you can really kind of like pick up like little things, little nuances, how people walk. So with this too, we could actually throw a little bit to the main route. We don't really have any rotation going on the route right now. So here, if we just throw a little bit on Z, okay, I'm just going to lean him So from here, actually put a little rotate Z, so 2.3. So I'm going to actually go to frame 30 and just actually set a keyframe. And then on 15, I'm going to go minus 2.3. So that puts that rotation on. Just going to put more sway to his. I'm getting a poppy. Something's looking a little poppy to me. Could be that I just need to clean up these curves. And what I might do is actually just select everything on the head and delete. So frame 1. Okay, frame 15 I want to, let's try negative 18. So let's go negative. Whoops, not negative. 18. Set a keyframe here. So minus 18, that's right. Took that poppiness off the head. So I usually like to put a little bop to the head, like so as we're like boom, the chin comes down. So this is really, really subtle. So frame 4, 5. We're just going to bring that chin down just a little bit. And then here, boom. So frame, so we want to go, so if we're going 1, 2, 3, 4 from the, so 1, 2, 3, 4, so from here, we want to put that bop in, say, frame 19. Okay, so down, and then this is kind of where, boom, we start bringing that up. Bringing that up. So 25, we're going to just lift his head. So this just puts a little bop to his. Alright, so I'm noticing in this walk, I notice that the arm is swinging out on the left arm. So like here, my left arm is swinging out. So if I turn on my controls and see this, rotate Z is negative 13, right, on frame 23. So for this one, I want to select the opposite and go about frame 8 and just bring that out like so. So frame 12, I just want that to be more out in Z. There we go. So we can see that those arms come out. So this is also where some of the polish can really come into play. So if we go over to animation and we look at, we just want to bring that graph editor. So here, if we look at, say, let's start on the root. Okay, if we go and just go to our translate Y or translate X, we can see that this is going to cause like a hitch. So we just want to make sure that this is going from side to side cleanly. So if you select both the start and the end keyframes and grab these two, and then just bring those down like so. And then we also want to turn on our pre-infinity and post-infinity cycle so we can see how that cycle is cycling. And from here, this is where you can kind of start tweaking, just get that like nice smoothness to a cycle. So here we'll turn on these as well, so get those to look good. And translate X. Translate X is actually, we're just basically staying, not really needing that to cycle. And there's nothing on the rotates that I believe. No, that looks right. Okay, so now we can just look at that. There's a smoothness to that now. And so we'll move down, we'll go to the hips, and from the hips we'll actually select, well, no translates, just the rotates, and so we'll turn on the pre and post infinity cycle. And here, just grabbing these ends and making sure that those cycle. And these look like they're cycling fine. This we'll have to fix on the Z. Okay. Alright, so that looks right. Our hips are moving smoothly. So now we can go up, we're going to go up the spine. So we'll select spine 1 first and select those rotates and do pre and post infinity. So X looks right, Y does not. Just need to fix that. I just want those connections to look smooth. Nothing on Z. And we'll move up and rotates, and then we'll select pre and post infinity, and we'll look at, it looks like X is fine, Y we want to fix. Just that, so that looks like that connects fine. And then we'll go to the chest and select the rotates and do pre and post. And then here, kind of look and see how that looks. Looks like that's right. And let's look at the Y. Nothing on Z. That's fine. Okay, and then we want to go to the clavicle. And just those rotates, pre and post. Doesn't look like there's anything on those. So rotates. Looks like those are just rotating all one, which may be the reason why, because we'll probably see, I think I put keyframes, I did. Okay, so we do want to, so with this one, whoops, we're selecting the left clavicle, and so it looks like I'm just rotating on Y. Okay, so for this one, I just want to copy this position and go here. And so frame 1, if I do a delete and then paste, alright, that should be that. That's good on that clav. And then 15, I want it to be frame 1 on this guy. So I'm going to copy this and then go here and then to frame 15 and then delete and do a paste. There we go. And then here we can just double check that. Looks like that's looking good. So now that arm might be swinging a little much. Yeah, that arm swings a little too much now, so just want to grab this guy. And I'll probably be toning that down. There's too much rotation here. So that's a Z rotation here. So just going to bring that down. Bring that down. And here we can check our rotations. So if we go to rotate X and just take a look. X looks fine. Rotate Y. We'll probably want to add a little bit to this. And also do pre and post. There we go. And let's check our Z. Z looks good. Just tweak this a little bit. And then on the elbow, we just want to select those rotates and do pre and post. So X looks good, rotate Y needs some love here. Just make sure that's connecting properly. We didn't do anything to the hand. So I just want to check the left arm now. So the X is fine. This is where I want to fix this Y, coming into the Y. And also rotate Z, looks like it's okay. Let's grab the elbow. And I believe this is going to be on the Y. Yep, so I want to fix this, the ins and outs here. There we go, that looks a little smoother. Alright, so for the feet, just want to make sure that these are connecting. So that's looking good. Do want to just make sure that these are smooth. So just looking at these translates. So translate Z, this is going to be so that's at the peak there. So actually we can take these right here. Sorry, this. Kind of a little bit more of a push off there. And this looks, push that up a little bit. It's just kind of like curve cleanup. Just to make sure that we're seeing these right. So translate Z. I want this to be a little smoother. There we go. Alright, let's see here. Actually going to do switch back over to animation 2 and turn off the rig controls. And let's take a look and see what this walk's looking like. I like to look at it from the back. Like the fingers might add a little pose to the fingers. Alright, so with that in mind, we'll go to those controls and I'm going to select all the fingers. And just do a rotation. And then select the main pointer finger again and just point that outwards. And then the thumb, just pushing the thumb down so it's kind of in a relaxed position. And so here, we'll grab all these finger positions again on the right and just rotate that in Z and select the main pointer finger again and just rotate that out a little bit, and then the thumb, just want to relax that thumb. There we go. So then here can actually like to do is actually make sure that I'm just going through and selecting these controls, just the finger controls. Okay, and then I'm actually put a keyframe on 1 and 30 and then delete everything else. And then likewise for the other side. So again, we're selecting just the finger controls on the left hand. Whoops. And set a keyframe on 1 and 30 and 30, and then everything else delete. There we go. So we're going to turn that off. Let's take a look from the back. Looks like we're getting a little wobble on that leg right there. This foot, getting a little wobble coming onto the inside. That. Right. So I don't want that wobble. So I'm going to actually move that back out this way. There we go. Let's take off the controllers. So 1 and 30 are matching, 15. So those look right. So then I'll go and look at the middles as well, just to see if those passing positions are opposite. And then 4 should be 4 and 18. So 4 and 18 should match, but just flip. Alright, so that walk's not looking too bad. Feels like the head has a little, there's a hitch in there somewhere. I'm not sure where that hitch is. I just want to find that. Could be in the head. So I just want to actually grab that head, go to animation just to bring up that graph editor, and from here I'll just drag down, go to rotation, and so do pre and post. Looks like the Y is right. Okay, that's where it is, right there. So we want to actually going to get rid of, okay, so where is this keyframe? So 15 should be the middle. Alright, so I'm actually going to delete that keyframe there. Let's bring this up just so it's more like so, just so it looks smoother. That definitely looks wrong too. So I don't want that. So I want this to be on 8. And okay, 22. There you go, that looks much better. No more hitch. That was all in the head. Looked really strange. So if we go to animation 2 again, there you go. A nice easy walk cycle. Nice and smooth. Has some bounce to it. So with this animation walk cycle, obviously it's in place. If you did want to add it moving in space, there's some tools that you can use to do that. But most times in games, at least, you'll animate everything in place, and then the programmer will actually place that motion in translation. So We're going to call that good on the walk cycle and move over to the run next.